Hello, everyone. How is everybody doing? How's everybody feeling today? Oh, there we go. All right, so in the chat, let me know where you're from. We're gonna get some good energy going in here. Everybody, come on in, come on in, come on in, and make yourselves at home. We're gonna get some good information today. New York, anybody from down south? Where my down south people at? Atlanta, there we go. Where my international family at? Do we have any international people? Are we international today, or are we just staying in the USA? Where are we? Zero. There we go. There we are. Okay. So while you guys are dropping that in the chat, we're gonna have two different things going. We have a very interactive day. So let's make sure we have a lot of questions in the chat if you have anything for our special guest today, and Q&A. Don't forget about the Q&A, because there's going to be about 15 minutes at the end of this interview that I'm going to go into that Q&A section, and I'm going to ask your questions. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to ask you your questions. So make sure you're being interactive today. Make sure you guys are giving good energy. So what we're going to do right now is, I see the chat is going crazy. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being interactive with me today. Thank you for being here with me. I'm going to try to keep you entertained for an hour. I don't know if anybody's been on a webinar with me, but I like to have a lot of fun. I go off script a little bit, but if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try my best to get to it. San Marcos, oh my gosh. Anybody from Alabama? Any Alabama? Everybody's good. That's what I like. That's what I like. So we have two special guests today. Two very, 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 very special guests today, they're going to give you a lot of information. So make sure you're putting your questions in the Q&A and in the chat, guys. I'm going to be checking both of them. All right, if you're ready to go, give me a thumbs up, raise your hand, give me something. Is everybody ready to go? Get this thing started? Yes. There we go. Everybody ready to go. There you go, chat. All right, so we're going to just go ahead and jump right into this. Guys, we have a very special guest. We actually have two special guests. Look at that. You got 2 for 1 today. So we got two special guests today. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how this young lady is a pioneer as a voiceover artist. Not only a voiceover artist, a director, a producer, and an actor. And now she has her own company. So let's give her a round of applause for that one. She has her own company now, and her company is going to give us a whole lot of information when it comes to how to get into voiceover acting, and how to sharpen your sword when it comes to that, how to be technically sound when it comes to that. So we also have her on board with a lot of media pros. So her resume is like untouched. So she's not only nationally known, she's internationally known, over 5 countries. Her resume and her roster is extensive. So in commercial and industrial and animation voiceover work, she is hands down the best. So without further ado, I'm going to give her the floor, and I'm going to bring in Lau. Lau, how are you doing today?
Brandon, I'm so excited to be here. And you know what? I can't even get past the comment of this young lady. I already love it. I already love this man.
Yes,
keep it coming.
That's my Southern gentleman coming out.
Keep it coming. I love it.
So in addition to Lau, we have Carol with us. Carol, do you have anything to say?
Well, I was laughing because she knows I always have something to say. My name is Carol Albert. I'm just on-in-law's company. That's why you have our name twice, or aren't two Lapides.
Perfect.
And I'm on staff at Lapides Company. I too am a voice actor. I'm also on camera, print. I also do some teaching. I do speaking with confidence, public speaking, and I've been doing this on and off for at least 15 years. But right now I do a lot more voice than anything else. Fortunately, on camera has come rolling back since the pandemic. So yay. And I also do work with MCVO, our voiceover agency. Do a lot of the audition processing there. And anything that really needs to be done at the studio, we've always got a lot of projects going on. I too have a lot of projects going on. So it works out great. And, thank you for letting me be here.
Perfect. Hey, listen, the pleasure is all ours. You guys together are a team, a dynamic duo. They're going to give us a lot of information today. So I really appreciate for coming in today. And now I'm going to give you the floor right now. How are you feeling today?
Oh, feeling terrific, feeling awesome. I would love to tell you a little bit about, my background and what I'm doing. I don't want to wreck your intro. If you have more intro for me, lay it on me. I'm going to go right into it because I want to give a lot of value.
I bow before you.
Oh, thank you. No need. I want to give everyone a lot of value in this next hour. So please do take notes, as my dad always said. A short pencil is much better than a long memory. So please take notes. Carol and I are going to share some of our experiences and a lot of what goes on in the industry on the voiceover side. And we welcome your questions. So if you have questions, don't be shy. Please put them in the chat for Brandon, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can. And we'll also provide you our follow-up information too, if you would like to reach out later. So I am Law Lapidus, and I like to say I am the law of attraction. At least that's how you pronounce my name. So, feel free to call me Law. My company is Law Lapidus Company. We are based just outside of Boston. That is our headquarters, and we've been in business for about 15 years now. And we do three things at my company. We offer top-level, high-end training for both actors and voice talent, and we consider our voice talent voice actors. So in essence, everyone is an actor that comes to us. But we also work with on camera as well. So we specialize in voiceover, but we have many on camera and theater actors who work with us as well, in craft, in technique, in getting tools, in developing techniques to use in multimedia, whether you're doing an interview, whether you're doing a voiceover commercial, whether you're auditioning for an animation, we do all of that. So we prep you in coaching. Coaching is really our specialty. We do both private coaching, in-person private coaching. 90% of our client base is now online. So our clients are global. They're all over the world. And we're very excited to be able to teach conservatory level master classes, workshops, seminars, and one-on-one coaching. We also have full production facilities where we satellite our production demos. So let's say you're coming in and you need an animation demo because you want to submit for cartoons, you want to submit for video games, you want to submit for commercials. We're the folks that are going to coach you and really work towards creating and developing unique copywritten scripts just for you so that we can then go ahead and booth direct you and record your demo for you, which is really exciting nowadays because we're recording demos all over the world and everyone needs a demo to work. We'll answer questions on that one, but yes, you do need a demo to work for sure. The third area we cover at our studio, Brandon, is our signature showcases. So Carol is always involved with our showcases all the time for the last 12 years. And we started in New York. So we have a satellite studio in Midtown Manhattan for over a decade. And now we've got our, we co-produce our satellite space in LA, in Hollywood. And we're also virtual. So we do both. We do a hybrid showcase approach. We do virtual and have international talent audition and have international panelists. Those are agencies we partner with, casting directors, producers, management companies. If you're on camera, film producers, you name it, they come to offer professional development and education, just like we're doing right now, right? We want you to walk away with some juicy nuggets of education. But then we also take it a step further. We really want to introduce you to your next management team. We really want to be the ones to introduce you to your next agency reps. We want to be the ones to really be a conduit to that world for you when you're ready to either launch your career or maybe rebrand and level up. You've been working for 5 years or 10 years and you're ready to level up into a higher tier agency. So we're very thrilled and honored to be able to do that at our studio. We have an agency arm. Our agency arm is called MCVO. You'll see that in the back of my virtual background and Carol's virtual background, MCVO. MCVO stands for Model Club Voiceover. So everyone get on your smartphones right now so you can look up the companies. You can see what they look like. You can remember how to reconnect with us. All working talent have to do that. Grab your smartphone and get on and start doing the research. MCVO is Model Club Voiceover, and that is the agency arm that lives under Model Club Inc., housed in Boston. So that's a regional agency in the New England area. Our friend Tim Ayers is the owner and operator, and we contract to, we opened the division actually. We created it, we pioneered it, and we opened the first voiceover division for the New England base, thinking it would be a regional agency, right? Wrong. 3 years later, we are not only national, but we're international. So now we house and represent over 400 of the top tier voiceover talent from 5 different countries. And so voiceover, as we will see today, is very much a global business. It's not a localized business. So even though we work in the hubs of New York and LA, and New York is our second home, we're really consider it an international business because our clients are all over the world and our talent is now all over the world. So it's really, really exciting. So I'm not only a coach, and Carol is a coach on a whole coaching team. All of my coaches are around the US, but I'm also the head agent. I'm the lead and head agent. I scout talent, I stock the VO roster, and I go out and I hunt and I bring home clients. Just like Tim does, I bring home the voiceover clients as well, so that we can give a nice healthy mix of commercial work. But I'd say commercial work is our bread and butter work, but we're getting more and more animation and video game happening. And we even have, I make just a little teaser for Brandon. The company is now producing our first producing, casting, and performing in the first audiobook for us that will be launched by the fall. And this will be an all-female cast, mostly female cast, theme being on menopause. It'll be a comedy base. We're going to be looking at all different tiers of talent, including star talent at the A-list level. That goes with a compilation of a book that is now published called Menopop, which is a pop-up book on menopause. So this is going to be a big launch for us, producing our first audiobook and also casting the female cast from around the country. So it's going to be really exciting. So that's just a little tidbit, little taste right there.
A little taste. Come on, you've given us a whole meal right now. You've given us so much information already. So, all right,
I can't give away the farm.
I know, right? So make sure, guys, you're putting your questions in the chat. Not only in the chat, we're going to go into Q&A at the end as well. So we're going to jump right into our questions. Let's start at the beginning. How do you get into voiceover acting? How do you get into it, Lau?
Great question. And that is a question, whoever asked that question is in great company. Everyone out there who is outside of the world is asking that question. It's a very smart question. It's still what I would consider to be psychologically a subculture, meaning it's not as seen because it's not a visual business like actors on camera, visual. It's kind of still underground, and it hasn't really been considered a viable area of the acting business for many, many years. Only in the last, I'd say, 10 to 15 years has it just exploded. It's actually exploded. And I think honestly, COVID had something to do with that as well in recent years, where all of production went down. A lot of my Broadway actors couldn't work. A lot of my folks couldn't be doing their commercials. They turned to voiceover and they turned to creating home studios from their home because they were desperate, dying to work. So to answer your question, being here at All Casting Seminar is amazing first step for you. You already took the first step to learning how to enter the world. You must train. Training is very, very important. We cannot skip over training. We joke at the studio. Some of our running jokes are, Brandon, we're an overnight success, right? And everyone says
Everybody, absolutely. We never
we're an
had to train.
overnight success. We are. We are.
Right.
Okay. We are a 40-year overnight success.
Wow.
Do you know what
40
that
years.
means? Do you know what
What does
that
that
means? That
You
means
tell
there's
me.
no such thing as an overnight. That's what that means. That
Yes.
means that most performers have been working on their craft and training for most of their lives. Most have been. And because they love it, it's their passion. They want to do it. I would never suggest you come into this area of the industry, or being any kind of an actor for that matter, just for money. I really think that is misguided. I think you should enter the profession because you want to learn a craft. You want to learn a skill. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a unique sound. No one has your sound in the world. Only you have that sound. But that's like, okay, I hearken to the tradesman, the carpenter. The carpenter may have some natural skill and ability, right? And may want to do carpentry, but has to, would you have someone build your house who took a weekend workshop?
Don't touch my house. Don't
All
do the
right.
foundation.
Brandon says, do not touch. Right. So we need training. We need craft. So the first step would be to come in, do some coaching with a qualified coaching team. And, we have something else that I didn't mention earlier, Brandon, which I think is really important in this online world that we live in. And voiceover is now 100% online. Very rarely are you going to be called to a studio. So to train online, to prep online, to create your home studio, to audition online is really the industry standard today. So being able to coach, to train online, do your demos is super, super important. So we created a subscription membership, and the membership is 100% online. And the goal is education. We want professional development. We want the motivation, right? We want the inspiration, just like we're in this room together right now. I'm totally jazzed. I'm like super psyched to be with all my people here. Right? We're not isolated. We can't do this alone. So I need to learn, and I'm still training. I'm still learning. I'm still developing. No one's done. No one's done. So training is your first step. Second step is creating the best quality product that you can create, which would be your professional demo. You can only do it with your team. Don't do it alone. Don't attempt to do it alone. You got to create a great coaching team like ours to help you produce that. Once that's produced, you need to stay with the team to help you market, brand, and sell it. Okay, because then you go into the world of sales. You go into the world of moving a product. So that's a whole conversation unto itself.
Yeah. So, all right. So when we talk about training, she's giving you that she actually has a subscription-based training, right? That's what you have available to everybody that's in this chat, in this webinar. So make sure you tap in with that and get the training. The training never stops. There's always some type of technique that's going to change, right? So we got to learn and keep speed with that. So when it comes to training, let me ask you a personal question. How many years did you train before you got your first big break?
It's so interesting. I never consider anything to be specifically a big break. I know people do experience that big break, but I never honestly thought about it in that way, because I was, for many, many years, a working talent, a working actor. I was trained as an actor, a real crafted theater-based actor, classically trained Shakespeare theater-based actor. I received my MFA in acting from UC Irvine on a full tuition scholarship and TA-ship. I was a real crafted, sort of academically inclined, but yet practical actor. I never thought about it in those terms. When will I be famous? Or how many people will know me? Or how many followers or fans do I have? When I was in school, we didn't even have cell phones. So there you go. But my point is
Yeah.
we have to be careful that that can be very that can be a fool's journey. It can be very misguided, because
Right.
not only are you always let down, that you're, in your mind, in your perception, you're not getting what you want quick enough, but
Right.
you're skipping over process. And for
Mhm.
me as a practitioner, I was process oriented, so I was always working. So for me, it was just about work. It wasn't about when am I going to be famous star on TV, when am I going to be famous in the movies. I didn't think in
Right.
that way. Literally, we weren't trained in that way. We were trained, get out and work hard. Oh, and
Mhm.
work for free as long as you can, just to make sure you actually want to do it for the right reason, and get your
Exactly.
resume up, and then you can earn
Exactly.
money.
That's right. People don't understand that. Sometimes you can fall on your face. The last thing you want to do is get to the big stage, as you call it, and fall on your face. You gotta have that tutelage. You gotta have that training. Correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
You have to do it, because the training is not only going to inspire the kinds of creativity that you come up with in your interpretation, in your
Mhm.
actor choices, in your takes that you're going to be doing for the job itself, but
Right.
it also is your best friend on all of those days where you're scratching your head and saying, why am I doing this? What am I doing? I haven't had work in 2 months and I'm depressed, or I don't know what to do. Oh, well, wait a second. I got my tools. I got my craft. I know how
Yes.
to build that add-on to the house. I can do
Mhm.
that. So I can go out and be proactive in finding my own work or creating my own work. And so
Right.
that's why the training is so necessary.
That's awesome. So, the training is the foundation of it all. Your passion comes through the training as well. So hold on tight to your passion, continue to build onto your training, right? So when we talk about moving on from the training, so we have the training, we have the good foundation, and we have that burning fire passion that's inside of us. Demo reels. What does a voiceover demo reel look like to you?
So I'll tell you, they're very specific. They've
Okay.
gotten more and more niche down, which is our best friend. I know Carol's going to say a few things about this too, because Carol's on both ends. Carol is not only a coach, but she also processes our audition at the agency. So she's on the other side of the client and the submissions and the negotiation. But then she's also
Right.
a talent, so she's also auditioning. So it's great to talk to people who are on both sides of that coin. But I would say the niche of it is really important. Again, your coaching team is pivotal, that we don't mix genres. So if I want to do, say, if I want to go after animation, I cannot
Okay.
mix commercial or audiobook or e-learning. Those are all specific genres. So with your coaching team, who will assess you and work with you on what you want to be working on and what they feel is really appropriate and marketable for you to be working on, you're going to start to create a compilation of scripts, copy, that really, really suits you. And animation is a unique little animal unto itself, because we typically don't take anything that is out there, not only due to copyright reasons, but we feel like, there's only one Bugs Bunny. There's only one, Pinky in the Brain. There's only one,
Yes.
we don't want to mirror that. We don't want to, we don't want to lift that. We don't want to sample that. It's really important. So you need to start thinking about the characters you create. What are all the
Mhm.
crazy voices that get you in trouble in the 10th grade, right? As our friend
Yes.
Rob Paulson, the Ninja
Yeah.
Turtle, said to us, he said, oh, I make a living off all those characters that I got in trouble in the 10th grade.
There we go. See, that's
Right?
training, that's passion.
That is training. That certainly is training. But it's a niche. So you have to know like exactly what niche you're going after. And that's not to say that you can't multi-track. You certainly
Right.
can. You can go after your commercial work, your animation work, your e-learning work. You can do that all simultaneously. But
Mhm.
each one is a niched path unto itself that will ultimately be marketed to specific prospects.
Right. So when we talk about, actually recording these demo reels and things of that nature, the one thing that keeps popping up in the chat is, what type of equipment do I need? Is there industry standard equipment that you would, recommend that would
Yeah.
help record a industry standard demo reel?
Yeah, well, I would say two things. One is you have to set up some level of home studio and keep it simple. I would keep it very, very simple. I wouldn't put the cart before the horse. In other words, I wouldn't start setting it up until you start training, until you start knowing you like it, the work, you want to do the work, you're moving towards a demo. But keep it very simple. Use the equipment you currently have. Oftentimes people will be on a Mac. PCs are fine too, but most studios, if you're lucky enough now to go into an actual studio, they're all on Mac systems. So most VO talent will have a Mac, and then they'll set up their software, which the industry standard has been Audacity because it's free, it's easy to use, what have you. Some people who are going into it as a career and 10 years into it may be on, Pro Tools, they may be on Logic Pro, they may be on other programs for different reasons. But I think the typical working voiceover talent really doesn't need that. They just need it for basic, auditioning. You're also going to need Source Connect, ultimately the platform that we would use to connect to directors, producers, clients, so they can talk to you. Carol, if you could pick it up from here just for a minute or two to give an overview of what that kind of looks like. We can't get into specifics because it really depends on your unique space. Every space is very different.
That's exactly what I was just going to talk about, Law. You're absolutely right. I follow, because of our membership as well. We have incredible audio people that come in and talk about stuff. And they said you could have, a very, very expensive microphone, but if the space from which you're recording is not treated, you may as well be in a bathroom with the water running, because it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, expensive microphones pick up more. So my point is wherever it is you are, before you even think about microphones or any kind of equipment, where in your place, wherever it is you live, is there a place that you can either create some kind of a booth? There are so many people that get creative because people aren't like, oh yeah, let me go out and buy a $5,000 whisper room. It doesn't happen. I personally have an old storage room in my house. I just put some stuff that was in there on the shelves. I got moving blankets. I have some sound foam, whatever that may be. You just have to get creative. There's a lot of information out there. But the bad part is that there's a lot of information out there. You've got to also be careful with what you listen to. So it harkens back to Law saying, and Brandon saying, that you need training and you need people, because, if you're crafty and you can take PVC and do some stuff, wonderful. But once you do that, and I'm spending a little time on this because nothing happens until you have this. Because you're going to have, like right now, I can hear some lawnmowers. I'm in my sound booth. That happens. You live in the city, you try to find a place in the middle of the apartment, if you can, to prevent that. So if you set something up and you're like, gee, I wonder if this is okay, because there's a way to measure what they call a noise floor, and not to get too technical, but there are numbers on your digital audio workstation that'll tell you, is the blank sound with nothing going on okay, it's a noise floor. So you would definitely get a coach and say, this is what it sounds like quiet, and this sounds like when I'm recording. And once you're able to do that, again, you don't need expensive equipment. You need equipment that works for you. Like, I would not use the same microphone as Brandon because we're completely different in our sounds, where our voice comes from. And there are plenty of people that can guide you on that. So don't put the cart before the horse. Find the space first, then the inexpensive equipment. You can start with Audacity, whatever works for you. If you're already doing some work, great.
Yeah. And Carol, I would add to that, I would piggyback onto that. And I would say it is really equalized now for voice talent, that your studio, your audio quality, your equipment, your booth is equally as important as your vocal delivery, your skill, your acumen as an actor. It isn't really one or the other. You could have a Neumann TLM mic and spend $3,000 or $4,000. It doesn't matter. If you're a bad actor, if you don't have training, if you don't know how to breathe properly, if you're not sure how to control smacks, you're just not going to work. It doesn't matter the quality of the microphone. I think there's a lot, Brandon, I think there's too much talk and stress over equipment. Equipment is easy. I take my credit card, I buy a mic, and now it's in my house. Voila, it's there.
Right.
But that's not the craft. That's not the profession. The profession is taking someone like a Rob Paulson away from the mic, putting him on a stage or in a studio or in his car, and that guy goes crazy. That guy can nab any job out there because he's a crafted actor. So I would warn everyone, don't think that, Law said my studio is not that important, I can go without it. No, it's important. Ultimately, it'll be important.
It's not number one.
But it's not number one, because I think it's much easier to assemble your studio over time than to become a really good quality actor.
Right.
It's also, to continue with that too, though, Brandon, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that La's absolutely right, because sometimes you'll also get scripts. It's like you need to take acting classes. I had first come in here, I had a corporate background and I was really interested in this, and I ended up taking this. I hadn't met Law yet. And then I met Law because the studio that she was at before, many, many, many years ago, had a Meissner acting class. It's a technique. And I'm like, I probably should start in that. And again, I didn't have a theater background, but I tell you, I wish I had Law when I had first started, because I'd already started in voice acting. I was actually doing more on-camera work, but whatever kind of acting it is, you should always learn, how does the script, what do they want in the script? Voice acting is not picking up a script and reading. Audiobooks, far from that. You have to read the book, understand what's going on. We could spend 3 hours just on that.
So there's a couple quick stages for people to note. And the first stage is either the creation of the script. So for animation and character work, you're going to have to create your own scripts. Your coach will help you, but you're going to have to create it rather than find it. And really reading it, you're reading it for comprehension's sake. Even if you wrote it, you still have to read it just to understand what you wrote and remember that. But then there's a whole processing and interpretation that needs to happen before delivery. So I think reading is kind of a misnomer. It's a myth. You're not reading. You're never, ever reading. In an audiobook, you're never reading. You're voicing copy and script, meaning you're interpreting it, you're using visualization, you're creating a soundscape for the ear and a visual landscape for the eyes. It's like when you think of us as little kids, most of us learned how to read by having someone read to us and then reading the words and creating visual stories in our head, creating visualizations in our head before we could ever speak it out. So that creative process has to happen before you're actually doing interpretational takes.
You're telling a story. You're really always telling a story. Even in a commercial, you're telling a story. And just to even learn, once I started taking acting classes, which I recommend as well, this is absolutely a wonderful journey. I know there's a lot being said on that, and maybe people thought differently. It's a wonderful journey. It's a great journey, and you absorb as much as you can. But just remember who you are. And I know I'm getting a little bit poetic here, but it is about you, especially in this culture now. Everybody wants they want you to be authentic. They want you to be you. So it's tempting to go up to the microphone and because back in the day, you kind of acted something out, but notice all the reality on TV, reality shows.
That's a very interesting point that Carol brings up. And I do want to piggyback on that for animation nowadays, we're seeing much more casting happening with your real voice, your natural sound, your daily voice, not exaggerated characterizations. That's more when you're getting into video games and other genres of character. But if you're auditioning, one of my clients and students was getting a lot of feature films, leads in feature film auditions for animation for like Pixar and DreamWorks. And when we would booth direct her, New York would be on the phone with us and say, no, 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 stop it. Stop acting. We do not want that. Do you understand? We do not. And they were pretty feisty about it. They were really feisty. And I was like, oh yeah, wait a second. That's right. Queen Latifah, Ray Romano, Ice Age. That's right. They sound exactly like who they are. Oh my God, that's right. Now, here's the weird part of it. They sound exactly like their natural voice, but their natural voice is still a crafted, trained performance sound. It's not really what they sound like in their kitchen. It's not really what they sound like at home. It's still a crafted performance branding, but it's not covered. It's not chameleonized. It's not lost in a character. It's recognizable. And the reason it's recognizable is because we want to follow those A-list actors. We want to know who that character is for the value of it. And that started a whole style, a whole animation style of real people.
Yeah.
So
right?
I'm going to say one thing. The one thing that everybody always saying, they're saying this in the chat, is that they don't know their voice. You have a voice. You're cultivating your voice when you do the training. You cultivate these things. You cultivate how to control your voice, how to actually articulate what you need to say, but not make it sound so robotic. This is your interpretation of the word. You know, I'm a Meisner guy, so I understand that completely. So I don't understand. Yes. So when you go through theater acting and theater training, and then you go into voice acting, you've gotten the foundation of voice acting, right? So these are things that go all the way back to the foundation of training, my good people. This is what we do.
It is.
It goes back to that. So listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. This is so interesting. It's so interesting to listen to you guys talk, because this is a lot of information that you guys are asking right here in the chat. You're answering all their questions right now. I don't even have to be here right now. You guys are doing all the work. I'm so appreciative of it all.
It's great. And you know, I'm looking at some of the awesome questions and comments. Nate is saying, does that go for someone like Denis Leary? Absolutely it does. In fact, Denis Leary's our boy. He comes from our area. He is a stand-up comedian from Boston, small town guy from Southie. Okay. And he is relatively authentic to what he actually sounds like doing stand-up comedy. And how long has he been doing stand-up comedy? Oh, I don't know, 40 years. I mean, a long time, right? So when they hired him for feature film or for TV series, they don't want to chameleonize that. They don't want to hide that. They want you to remember that he's Denis Leary. Partly before the A-list Hollywood factor, because we know he's going to box office and sell tickets, and partly because he's freaking fabulous. We love him. He's funny. Now he's older. He can play super serious. He understands drama because he's lived life, but he has the training behind him because he had to train as an actor and stand-up comedian, learn how to script, learn how to deliver, learn how to land a line, learn how to punch it up. Learn, get rejected, have tomatoes thrown at him. He had to go through that, guys, for a long time to get to that Pixar audition on a microphone. It wasn't just, oh, I just walked in and I'm myself. He had to cultivate that over time.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Go ahead, Carol.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make one mention because I've seen it a few times come up as well, as far as foreign language, especially in Spanish or whatever. Yeah, it's a wonderful world out there. There's a lot of foreign language work. Yes, Spanish is probably number one. And sometimes they get really, fussy. They'll say, oh, no, I only want Spanish from, Spain or whatever. But the point is that Spanish, Portuguese, and some of you live everywhere where you may have a certain population in your area. So pursue it in that language that you have, as long as you're either fluent or native with that, because sometimes they specify. But we have so many bilingual people now, like here, there's a difference between European French and Canadian French because we're closer to Canada. So, you know yourself. But I just want to tell you a funny story. You were saying people, I don't know my voice. Well, Law can laugh too, because I would get people in the beginning class. Well, I hate listening to myself on the answering machine. And I'll be like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the path. So the point is learn to love your voice and learn how to use it. How are you going to breathe? Where is it coming from? Do you relax? Are you breathy? Can you do things to help your breathing? There's so many organic things to think about as well, which are all positive for your journey.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you said that, Carol, because it's so deeply psychological, your voice. I mean, everyone think about it for a second. Do we think about our voice? How many of us listen to our voice back, played back? Do we listen to ourselves as we speak? I mean, how many of us even think about our voice? But our voice is really connected to something so much deeper than your vocal folds and the vibration that is coming out as an instrument. It's connected to your psyche. It's connected to your identity. It's connected to your soul. Any of you are spiritual, doesn't matter whether you are or not, but it's connected. And we know it's connected because we have a lot of breakdowns in studio of people who's crying and laughing and out of control. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I could do that. I didn't realize I could be heard in that way. I didn't realize I could express myself in that way because no one ever listened to me growing up, or I was never in conversation with people, or all I did was sit in front of a computer and text. There's a lot of emotional and psychological journey to be had in really discovering the capabilities of your voice. So I would say do it, go on the journey, because you're going to be tested. Casting and corporate and clients are all going to test you. What can you give to them? How much can you produce? And how real is it? How connected? Casting calls it connectedness. How connected are you to authenticity, to realness, to reality? And that, that's a whole discussion for another day, but that's connected to a lot more than just the character written. That's connected to some sort of spirit that's moving you, that whether you get that job or not is irrelevant. You need to do it. You need to express that voice of yours.
Yeah. And I also want to say that, and that's awesome, because that harkens me down to vocal health as well. When you work with people and you choose someone to work with, especially if you're going to do character voice, you want to know where it's coming from. If it's all going to come for your throat, well, that's probably going to last you maybe 60 seconds. And then you don't want to burn it out. You don't want to repeat that same and burn out your vocal folds. So you want to make sure that the person that you're taking care of your health, but also the person that's coaching you is saying, gee, I don't think I would do that. You want to make sure that coach cares about you and your well-being as well, whether it be the mental health, the physical health, because all of those tie into it. If you're burning out your vocal cords, well, I mean, it's almost like I'm a trumpet player, but I've just dented the bell of my trumpet. I can't play it. So, okay, then, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and you want the people around you and that are supporting you to also care about what you're doing and how that's helping you.
You guys are doing a great job of taking, this is a lot of great information. So what I'm going to do is, one, applaud you guys for giving us all this information and all this knowledge that you guys have just given us over the last 45 minutes, believe it or not. So we're going to go, if you guys are okay with it, we're going to jump right into the Q&A, and we're going to jump right into our first question. And this is dealing with the equipment aspect of it. What's more useful, an isolated shield or portable home studio? Which one do you feel like is more useful?
Oh, Carol will have her point of view on this. I find these really hard to answer because everyone's situation is so different. I mean, we work with clients who are living in the city and they're dealing with a ton of noise around them, above them, outside. And then we work with clients who are, in a rural environment and they barely hear crickets. And so the level of equipment and sound integrity really does shift, and your budget as well. You're based on your budget as well. Carol, do you have a quickie answer to that one?
Yeah, I mean, I agree on that. It really depends on where it is you are. It all depends on how that immediate, how does it sound? If you have no noise in your booth, but yet you're hearing something that's not supposed to be there, then that would tell you how it is. That's why it's really important to get a second person who knows audio engineering to guide you on that.
Right. So for instance, I'll hearken this back, Brandon, to our online community that we have developed. So we have a saturated conservatory online now of anywhere from 6 to 10 classes, workshops, guest appearances throughout the week that happens online with the membership. And a common occurrence for us is home studio setup, technical coaching, I forget what else we've called it, but equipment setup, level up in your products. Because even if it's in a group environment, you need the coaching of your specific place. So you could do a little virtual tour of your place for the coach, and then they can start to see how your equipment is working. A good coach, a good tech coach, is going to ask you for a sample so that you're sending them MP3 samples and they can hear if there's any problem in the audio quality. So it's kind of like a multi-layered approach, a multi-tiered approach. I don't think it's impossible or hard. I just think it takes a little time to detail what works for your particular situation. If you have kids, if you have dogs, if you have like ambulances outside, there's nothing that's going to help you with that. you got to figure out what you can control first. So we always say to actors, whether you're doing a self-tape or you're doing an MP3, control your environment to the most possible, then put it in the hands of the tech coach that says, oh, okay, now we got to work with what kind of hardware you have, what kind of software you have. You're going on Source Connect, let's work Source Connect. So you're really flawless with that and you feel good with that. But don't put the most basic things in the hands of a coach. Like, my kids come home from school and they don't have an after school program and I hear them running up on the stairs and screaming. They'll be like, get a babysitter. Get a babysitter. I can't do anything about that, right? There are times, it sounds so ridiculous, but we have a colleague of ours, excuse me, who's really big in the audiobook world. He's now a producer. He's a voiceover talent and producer out of Hoboken, New Jersey, and he cannot record certain hours of the day because he lives in an apartment condo complex. He knows the loud times. And so he'll go overnight a certain hours that he knows are going to be the most quiet hours for him. I think he has a brick booth or something. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on the booth. No booth is 100% audio integrity if the sounds are loud enough or they're surrounding your booth. So don't expect it. Don't have unrealistic expectations. Just control as much as you can and then work with the tech coach.
Okay. So, so for those that are outside the big cities, your LAs, your New Yorks, even Boston, Atlanta, how would you guide them on saying, okay, this is how you get good quality training? I know you have your online subscription-based training. How would where would you, if they can't afford that, what would be a more affordable way to get any type of training or find any type of casting?
That's an awesome question. Every single person, y'all, that comes in asks me that question. I actually have an answer for it. The answer is this. and I'm not bashful about it. We are one of the more expensive studios on the East Coast when it comes to coaching, right? So we charge premium rates for our coaching hours because we offer that level of value. However, we know that there's a very large population of people, and these are tough times too. We totally get that. That are online and that need training, they need some coaching, they need accountability partners, they need a community. That's a need that's just not always filled in a coaching session. So we created this online community. We call it Talent Inner Circle, TIC for short. It's super fun. You absolutely can afford it. And I'll tell you why. It's literally $1 a day. Our baseline membership, we call it the Golden Globes, is $30 a month. So we don't upsell on anything. We don't charge anything extra. You come in and out as you want to. You participate or you observe, or if you can't make it, you go into Law's luscious library of replays, say that 10 times fast. And then you can watch over 1,000 hours of education. It's incredible. And we have A-list guest teachers. We have managers and agents coming in. We have voiceover workouts. We have acting class. I mean, it's endless what we're offering. It's really becoming saturated. Then we have an upper tier level at $99 a month. That is our red carpet tier, and that is more of a tighter accountability group. So we work on production projects together. We meet bi-weekly. We hold our feet to the fire and hold ourselves accountable for our action plans. That's for people that are working or are really serious minded about, okay, I got to get this done in this quarter. I am launching my demo. In this quarter, I'm getting my first 3 clients, and really helping in sales, in marketing, in branding, and all the things that you're going to need to do as a solopreneur, because that's what we are. You're solopreneur, right? But at the baseline for $30 a month, you just can't, a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and I love Starbucks. I'm not talking smack about Starbucks. Yeah. It's $5. It's $5. Okay, that buys you 5 days of our membership. All right, there you go. Right. So the point is, you do have to invest. It's not a cost. Don't look at it as a cost. You have to look at your training as an investment. You invest just like a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist has to go to school. They have to purchase tools. We do too.
Yes.
Our business owners have to do that. Nothing is free. Free. Here's a good saying for you. It comes from Carol and I's time. You get what you pay for.
That's exactly right.
And I was
what you pay for.
I was just going to jump in real quick with on that, because there are a lot of people out there. It's just like people will say, well, how many lessons or sessions does it take for a demo? That is not an answer that can be given. And if someone gives it to you, please run in the other direction. Because this is why it is not a one size fits all. If you've had zero background in theater or anything like that, it may take you a little longer. There is no right or wrong. Maybe you have to take a break. There are 1,001 reasons why not. So please, because there's a lot out there, as great as the internet is, as I said before, it can also be your own worst enemy. Not even just for voiceover, for anything, whether
I also would say too that it's important to, this is not a financial seminar, but I could give you a financial seminar as an agent. And if someone comes in and says, Law, I can't afford this, or I just don't have the money for this, I'd say, I appreciate that and I respect that. But let's look at a little bit. I'm not a financial advisor by any stretch of the imagination, but let's look at, what are you spending? What are you budgeting? What are your fixed and variable costs? What are they? Are they the movies? Are they your car? Are they your meals outside? And start to realign and sort of redirect some of those funds into your career, because your career at the onset is going to be so much more meaningful and more important to you than the ticket you're buying for a concert for $100. You got to really, and we all had to do that. We all had to take that step back and think, how do I want to invest? How do I want to save? How do I want to budget? And what does this mean to me? Like, how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is this? Do I have to do this? Well, if I have to do this, then I must find sacrifices in other areas. If I kind of like it and I want to test it out, don't sacrifice too much. Just dip your toe in the water. Right? Then you'll see.
That's right. So, all right. So once you have, I'm going to go with another question right now. Once you have said that when you're and all things on, what do you look for as an agent?
You know what, Brandon? You cut out. It could be on my end, but I didn't hear the question. You cut in.
Didn't hear it either.
Could you kindly repeat that for me?
Can you hear me now? We're good?
Yes.
I think so. Yep. I think
so. All right. So what do you look for in a demo reel? You as an agent, what do you look for?
Good question.
These are hard questions. Oh my goodness.
Gotta challenge you a little challenge, okay? Come on.
All right. Well, I think I certainly can't speak for anyone else except myself, but I think that there's a common truism about representatives and what they hear and how they hear it. And one of the things I know is that time is of the essence, because we're all very, very busy. We're all moving very fast. Jobs come in and get turned around very quickly. And our job is really to please that client, please that prospect, or if they're already our client, just please that client and make sure that we are under promising and over delivering. That's really important to be able to do that. So when I listen with a very keen and sharp ear, and I try hard not to be distracted when I listen, but it's fast. Agents are not going to sit on your stuff for more than, maybe 30 seconds or so. And sometimes they don't even sit that long. I think I can honestly say, but this is because I was an actor for so many years and a voice talent for so many years and a director for so many years, I can hear it really fast. I can hear in your first read if there's quality, if it's professionally produced, if I've heard the read before, i.e. the script came from online, it was just pulled from online. I can even hear sometimes the demo makers that created that based on the formula that they use. So you have to be really careful of all that. The goal of a demo is to showcase work. So you have to theatricalize and embellish that this is your work, even though we kind of know the industry standard is probably not your work. It's a sample of your work, but it needs to sound like actual jobs that you were paid for, fully mixed, mastered, cleaned, and produced well, branded for you. I haven't heard the copy anywhere else, and it fits your voice like a glove, or as Madonna said, like butter. It fits your voice like butter. Right? Mike Myers, remember that skit? And we can hear it very fast. Now, if Carol and I listen to a demo and the first one is great and the second one is great, I kind of want to hear the whole thing just because I want to hear it. I'll sit and I'll listen to a minute, and that's a long time to listen because I enjoy it and I'll have fun with that. But do I need to? No, I really don't need to. I look for someone who has taken their craft seriously, who has trained, who's working with a production team, something that's produced really, really well, and that has a little bit of uniqueness to it. Like, I don't want to hear, like another car ad that I hear a million times over. There's a gazillion products, services, characters out there that you can be creating that are within your vocal wheelhouse. So take the time to do it. I don't want to hear another Maybelline ad, even though I love Maybelline. I don't want to hear it because I know the producers and engineers that use those scripts. And to me, it screams that it's not an actual job. I want to hear what seems like an actual job for you.
Also variety, just to make sure that if they like the first one and let's say it's an insurance company, the next one shouldn't be a bank or anything else. It should maybe be, a fun sports drink or something like that. They want to know that if they hire you, if they want you to be a parent, or if they want you to be a manager in a bank, that you're able to deliver what they're looking for.
That's right. That's right. And certainly on a character track, everyone is incredibly unique. No two are alike. There shouldn't be any bleed. 100% integrity. Go from what we call a hard cut, a shift from, Roger Rabbit into, Fred Flintstone. And there's no bleed from one character to the next. It's got to be a very clear and hard cut. It's got to, and I'm talking about animation and character, it's got to move fast. It's got to be short bites. Okay. Nowadays, we're really shooting for 60 seconds if we can. For a demo. If you have to go longer, 75, because you have 5 or 10 more characters, then do it. We just may not listen to it, but do it. It'll live on your website and you'll be able to point particular prospects to it for particular jobs. But just know the longer it is, the less chance it has of being fully listened to. And I also would put your natural voice on there for a character track once, if not twice, because as I said earlier, there's more animation that lives in the commercial market now. There's more commercial sounds that live in the animation market now. So you got to show that you can do that crossover.
Right. So I have a question. Here's something that's actually going to be very beneficial for everybody here that's on this webinar. How do they get in contact with you? Give that again, give that information out. How can they get their demo reels to you, their information to you? How do they do that?
Okay, I'm typing as you guys talk. I'm typing. So that
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that would, and as Law's typing, I was going to say, yeah, the Law Lapidus company. And what you'll do is you can get a 15-minute consultation. Like you'll jump on, you'll schedule on Calendly. It's free, and you'll just come on and ask maybe more questions. I know there were a ton of fantastic questions here. You just can't get to all of them. But, get a consultation and see a little bit further because it's one-on-one, which is what our
Right.
philosophy is for coaching, which is why there is no metrics there. It's whoever comes in, it is specifically because you're the one that runs it. You're going to say, well, we have some people that do on camera and voiceover. They'll go, I think I want to do on camera today. So it's about you. It's about
Right.
you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm also putting in, there you go, everyone. There's my calendar link. You can get on the calendar right now. Come in for a
Cool.
15-minute discovery consultation. We're going to talk about your dreams, your goals, what you want to
Yes.
achieve, the best ways, the best routes to achieve them. And if anything, it'll be a great meeting. You'll enjoy meeting us, the coaches, and talking about, how do I get an agent, or how do I pursue a demo, or what should I think about for my home studio? These are all really important questions when you're entering the field. Or some of you may already be working as a talent and just interested in going into another genre of the field. And like, how do I balance that? How do I multitask with my website that has a very clear commercial brand and audiobook brand? But then how do I add a character into that and animation into that? Where do I put it? Does it go above the fold? Do I do a separate page? How does it, these are all really important to think about as you work in the industry.
Well, look at all this great information and all this good energy we have in this webinar that we had today. This was amazing. I hope everybody, I couldn't get to all these questions because we have a ton of questions, but I hope everybody had a great time here today. We're going to let the law of the land get out of here. Carol, thank you for coming. And we really enjoyed everything. We really enjoyed all the conversation. Thank you guys from the bottom of our heart. And we're going to let you guys go right now. So thank you guys. Stay encouraged, stay blessed, and stay focused out there, guys. Stay safe. Take it easy.
Those are wonderful words. Thank you, Brandon.
And thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Bye.
Email us,
Thank you.
stay in touch. We'd love to hear from you.